There is an electromagnetic field around you made of spinning electrons. You can, in many ways, and do in many ways, store energy slightly outside of your physical form there and can draw upon it later when you become more aware of how to make those electrons spin harmoniously, when they spin at the same rate all the time. Then they can act as a kind of a dynamo or a wheel, in a sense, that will store energy that you can tap into at another time.
How are you doing, Bashar?
Perfect, and you?
Perfect.
All right.
A couple questions for you.
Yes.
So my first question is that, in general, I'm living a very passionate life that I very much enjoy. There are a few aspects of my job that I sometimes wish were different, and sometimes I get frustrated when thinking about them.
Can you make them different?
What was that?
Can you make them different?
I think so. That's sort of what I'm struggling between. If I should attempt to change them, kind of push and change them, or if it's something that I need to sort of live into fully in order to transcend.
Well, again, yes. And again, you have to be honest with your self-examination. Are you the one dampening the excitement that could be in those portions of your job because you have certain belief systems that are not allowing you to figure out how to do them in a more exciting way? Or are they truly not representative of your excitement and can't be altered in any way, shape, or form according to the parameters of the job that would actually be representative of your excitement, which might be a clue that this isn't overall the job for you? So you have to make that determination within yourself, but always check with yourself first to make sure you're not the one dampening the excitement when it could be something exciting if you can open your imagination and do it in a more exciting way. So,
yeah, okay. So, it would, if it's something that I can't immediately change in my current, for the most part, I love my job. It's a small aspect I wish is different. And it's something I foresee I likely am going to need to be doing. What would your advice?
Well, what is your job?
I'm a high school teacher.
Yes.
And part of I work at a boarding school, and part of my job is that I have to coach certain sports. And there's a sport that I'm coaching this winter with an individual who I don't particularly enjoy working with, and there's elements of that specific part of my job I wish were different, and it's looking like I might not be able to change them.
All right, and why don't you enjoy working with that individual?
He's just much more intense than I am, and I would define him maybe as slightly angry and irritable and just energetically. I get along with him, but I get a feeling inside me, like I almost wish I was doing it on my own rather than with him. And then
all right. Is there not something you can do in your interaction that can help him raise his frequency? Can you not, in a sense, be disarming with him?
Yes, I certainly can. And I guess that's kind of what I'm trying to sift out right now, is like what's the best way for me to step into this.
All right. Well, I'm not saying this has to be it, but you could open up your imagination and think of a number of different ways you could interact with this individual. First and foremost, of course, not taking the irritation on yourself, because you're creating that within your own energy. So the idea is you can attempt some experiments to adopt different aspects of your personality when interacting with that personality to become someone a little different than you are and approach him in a very different way that's more disarming. You may use humor to disarm the intensity of that individual. You may use some form of wisdom or sayings to disarm him, but the idea is to maintain your true personality so that you do not lower your vibration to match his, which is what causes the struggle within you. You have to approach this as if it doesn't affect you at all. You can look at this individual in a number of different ways, and we would suggest that you explore doing so. Step outside the bounds of what you think your personality is and see what else you may be able to become to interact with that individual. Become a little bit more like a chameleon and shift in whatever way allows you to feel the way you prefer to feel, while allowing a portion of your personality to interact with him in a different way that may allow him to let go of the irritations and anger that he may be experiencing. And you can also have heart-to-heart with this individual, if you haven't done so, to let him know how it is he may be coming across, which he may not even understand. Have you had a heart-to-heart conversation with this person?
And to be fully clear, like, he's just one aspect of it. The other aspect...
I don't care. Don't avoid the question. Have you had a heart-to-heart with this person?
No, I have not.
Why not? What are you afraid of?
I guess it just didn't...
Do you remember that we have said that communication is one of the forms of abundance?
Yes.
This is exactly why. When you can clearly communicate in a loving way what it is that you perceive is going on, you may actually be capable of using that form of abundance to allow the other individual to have an opportunity to change themselves. Not that they have to, not that they will, but at least give them the option, give them the opportunity by allowing them to know how you are perceiving them, how others may be perceiving them. And therefore, they may not even realize how they're coming across, but you can give them an opportunity to know so. Again, doesn't mean they'll change. And again, it doesn't mean you have to feel affected by it. But if it persists beyond the idea of anything that you can do to help the situation be more creative, change in more positive ways, then you may have to determine that it might be possible that you need to be in a different location with different people to do what it is you're excited to do. This isn't the only job in the world where you can do what it is you're doing.
Right. Definitely.
So all of these options are available to you, but you actually have to use your power to act on them. Otherwise, you'll never know what could have changed.
Beautiful. And is this situation that I'm going into, I mean, I know the answer to this, but it's all here for me, right?
Of course. And for others. Again, it's not always a one-to-one reflection when you encounter someone who's nothing like you, but it is in your life for a reason because you may be able to help them.
Yeah, beautiful. Okay, I have one or two more questions, if that's okay.
Yes.
So I'm wondering if you can explain what is happening, like, energetically in my consciousness or one's consciousness when I experience feelings of guilt or unworthiness. What is happening to my consciousness when that's going on?
You are lowering your overall energy frequency, and you are slowing down the transmission of information along the neurological pathways of your body and your brain.
Interesting. Beautiful.
And your final question?
My final question is that I have a tendency to
You choose.
Okay.
I choose. Yes?
Yeah. I often choose to seek approval of others, and I'm wondering what is an effective way to unlearn this.
Why do you care what others think? They're not living your life. You are. You can take advice when and where you feel it's appropriate to absorb it and apply it in your life, but you're the one that gets to decide what's true for you. So why do you care when someone who's not living your life tells you something or needs to approve you? Why don't you simply approve yourself?
Yeah, no, it's a good question. And
Thank you. Do you have a good answer? What do you get? Here's the way you ask the question. What am I getting out of needing the approval of others that I'm not doing for myself? What am I getting out of it? Because you don't do anything that you don't believe serves you somehow. And sometimes that simply means that the alternative, because of your belief system, is too scary. So you stay where you are because it's familiar. So
I feel like
what are you getting out of it?
I feel like I'm often worried about making other people uncomfortable if I'm living my true self, that it's like too much for them. And so I'm
So what?
Yeah.
Again, if you're not doing something intentionally to harm them, intentionally to make them feel uncomfortable, if you're really truly being yourself to the best you can, then whatever they choose to feel is their choice. So why are you going to make your life conditional on someone else's issues? Is this helping?
No, yeah, it is.
All right.
Helping very much.
So ponder those questions for yourself and see if they still make sense to you, because when they stop making sense, you'll let them go.
Beautiful. All right. Thank you so much, Bashar.
You are welcome.
All right. Have a good day.
I absolutely will. You may too.
Thank you.
Hello, Bashar. My name is Shauna, and I live in Salem, New Hampshire. I am still fairly new to your teachings. I've been listening in for about a year now. And there are a couple of things that you mentioned which I'm hoping that you can give me clarification on. One is the threshold of believability test. I've heard you mention that. And the other is permission slips. I have a fairly good idea of what you're talking about in regards to permission slips, but if you could clarify that definition, that would be fantastic. And the threshold of believability test, again, if you could clarify that definition so that I may start to notice more about myself and put this test into practice. Thank you so much, Bashar. Good day.
The threshold of believability test is if there is something that you recognize as your preference, but your belief system is saying that it may be a long time before you can actually experience it in your life, then the threshold of believability test is for you to start at a time when your belief system makes it easy for you to accept that it will happen. So in other words, for example, can it be possible? Can it be probable for this thing to manifest that I prefer in my life? No insistence, though. In 20 years, if there is absolutely no hesitation whatsoever to say, yes, I absolutely know for a fact that it's possible that 20 years is more than enough time for something like that to manifest in my life, then you go down the scale. Is it possible in 15 years? Yes, no problem. 10 years? Absolutely more than enough time, no hesitation, answering yes to that at all. 5 years? Not sure. As soon as there is hesitation, that's how long it will take with your present belief system. So you have to find out what belief is telling you that it has to take that long. And if you find that you can change that belief by identifying what it's telling you and changing the story behind it, then you take the test over again. 20 years, no problem. 15 years, no problem. 10 years, no problem. 5 years, absolutely no problem. 3 years? Well, if you hesitate again, even for a fraction of a second, now that's how long it will take with your present belief system. So look again at why you believe it would take that long for whatever reasons you're creating, and see if you can change that belief in a way that you actually know for sure that that's a way you can change the belief. You can't fool yourself. You have to really know that that's simple and it's easy to do. And you keep going down and down and down until you can go down and change anything no further. That's how long then it needs to take in order for you to experience the physical processes necessary for you to fully appreciate it when it manifests, because it will probably take a little time. Some things can happen more instantaneously, but in most cases you will need a process so that you learn what you need to learn, so that by the time that thing happens, you'll be able to handle it in the best possible way that serves you. So that is the threshold of believability. Now, a permission slip is simply any technique, any tool, any ritual, any object, any discipline, anything in physical reality that you believe will help you become more of who you are, because you're attracted to use it because you believe it aligns with your belief system and will actually allow you to circumvent that belief system to have a broader sense of what is possible for you. So if you're attracted to ideas like astrology or a crystal ball or tea leaves or anything like that, or a particular religion or what have you, or an object of any kind, it's because you believe it will help you do what you need to do to make the changes that you need to make. Now, of course, you're making the changes. The belief system and the permission slip, in that sense, are working hand in hand to make it seem easier to accept the change within yourself, but they're not actually doing it for you, the permission slip. It's just a way of saying, with this assisting me, I believe I can change. Ultimately, you realize you are the actual permission slip, and you can change in any way, shape, or form that you prefer to at any time without necessarily needing a ritual or an object to make it easier for you to do so. The transmission this day of your time is called the Shells of Earth. We are going to briefly describe the different layers or frequencies that are closely connected to your physical reality and in which different kinds of experiences can be had. Of course, you have the physical shell, which you are very familiar with as physical beings having a physical experience, but with a slight shift in frequency, you can experience what we call the elemental shell. And the elemental shell is where you meet elemental beings, elemental expressions of consciousness, such as pukas, fairies, sylphs, silkies, flaming salamanders, and many other representations that elemental consciousness has the ability to present itself in. Now, these shells don't really move outward per se. That's just the way you might experience them a little bit in physical reality from your space-time perspective. They're all right here, like everything is, but they're just slightly different frequencies that are still very strongly connected to physical reality. So by allowing yourself, in whatever way works for you, through meditation, through other exercises, to imagine and ponder and get in touch with the idea of these different frequencies, based on whatever symbols you already understand them to be, you will connect and be able, if you practice, to communicate in different ways with the different forms and expressions of consciousness that can present themselves to you in these different frequency shells. So, as we said, there's the physical, now there's the elemental. Elemental beings are kind of like a part of the overall energy of the earth, but they don't have to necessarily continue in a particular form. They're much more flexible, much more malleable in how they present themselves. They can present themselves as very solidly physical, but it's more like they're on a level that's akin to the idea of moldable clay, where they can go back into the energy and disappear, become non-physical, or at least quasi-physical, in a way that you cannot perceive them, and then they can crystallize themselves in some physical form, and that's why they can also be shapeshifters, taking many different forms. So by focusing on whatever affinity you have in a relaxed state, an open-minded state, to the elemental shell, and practice this on a regular basis, you can develop more communication, more awareness, more ability to perceive elemental beings, maybe even slightly before they make themselves more solid, because you can extend your senses by following the formula, and that makes you more capable of seeing things that are invisible to you now, but can become visible to you as you extend the sensitivity of your senses. So by interacting with the elementals, you can gain a deeper appreciation and understanding of your place in nature by relating to their place in nature within the elemental shell, and you can become more flexible in your experience of space and time by forming that relationship with the elementals. After that, there is the frequency of the etheric shell, and this is what includes the idea that you typically refer to as the lower astral realm. While that may seem to be the idea of a realm or a frequency or a shell that is completely in spirit, it actually has a lower frequency component that connects directly to physical reality. It's a borderline, a borderland in which spirit beings can also make themselves appear to be relatively solid, or at least to some degree visible. This is where the idea of ghosts reside. So the etheric shell is what allows, in its frequency, a spirit being to lower its frequency to be closer to the idea of the physical shell, the physical frequency, while not completely actually being so. But the lower astral realm, the etheric shell, can allow them to present a representation of themselves as physical, because it's a low enough frequency, close enough to physical reality for you to be able to perceive them. Especially, again, if you raise your vibration even just a little bit, you can not only perceive the elementals when they make themselves come closer to physical reality vibrations, but also the idea of spirits who may take on the qualities of the etheric shell in the lower astral frequency to make themselves visible and appear very solid and even be touchable to you while still remaining in spirit. It's just that they're using the vibration of the etheric shell to imprint themselves a little bit more into your physical reality experience. Then, beyond the elemental and etheric shells, you have the archetypal shell. This is where consciousness resides and presents itself in kind of a small series of group collectives that represent symbolically different attributes of beings. So it's a more of a symbolic representation, but you can still experience many of the representations of consciousness as if they are, in many ways, physical beings, but these are more representative of qualities. So you can create the idea of what you call God or goddess presentations, even angelic presentations. The idea, again, being that they're imprinting themselves in the archetypal shell to represent a certain quality or experience of energy. In other words, examples like motherhood, fatherhood, childhood, or the idea of elemental ideas, not in the same elemental shell, but the idea of the old concepts of elemental ideas. The sun, the moon, water, fire, earth, air. These kinds of things are presented in the archetypal shell, which is a symbolic representation, but can take on physical representations that would be familiar to you. They can look like human beings, they can look like demigods, they can look like the elements themselves, like a fire being, a water being, an air being, an earth being. They can take on many natural qualities to symbolically represent an entirely large concept that builds up the concept of physical reality in components. So you have the idea of, as I said, the earth vibration, the fire vibration, the spirit vibration. These things take on this quality of being archetypal symbols that represent whole entire concepts or directions or qualities of things that are close to your experience of physical reality. Then beyond the archetypal shell, there is the collective shell. And this means simply the collective consciousness of your entire planet, everything on it, not even just humans, but everything on it. The trees, the rocks, the sea, the animals. And it gives you an opportunity to experience your way of connecting to the cosmos while still retaining a connection in a grounded state to physical reality. The collective consciousness has been represented through different beings, through ascended masters and various teachers throughout your history, being that they would tap into that collective and sort of channel it to you. Beings like Jesus, Krishna, Buddha, Vavoka, so on and so forth, Mary. All of these kinds of beings in various forms have been able to tap into the collective of your planet, the higher mind of all of you, so to speak, to bring through information, to share information. But of course, this doesn't mean that each and every one of you can't tap into this on your own. To access the collective information that you may require here and there, now and then, to apply in your lives in a way that allows you to be more balanced, more positive, more powerful, more energetic in your expression of physical reality. So you have these different shells, and there are others, but the ones that go beyond the collective are not as closely connected to your physical reality. They then include the idea of going into spirit, higher dimensions, so on and so forth. And it doesn't mean, again, you can't tap into them, but these shells, the physical, the elemental, the etheric, the archetypal, and the collective, are the ones that are the vibrational levels most closely associated to your experience of physical reality, and on which you rely, whether you know it or not, on which you tap into, whether you know it or not, more often than not, to guide you in life and to experience the connections that you may feel to nature and the collectivity of your entire species and your reality as you experience your journey on Earth. So allow yourself to practice this by opening up in your imagination, whether through a meditation or whatever technique you wish. Even gardening can do it because you're close to the earth and close to nature and start to feel yourself as connected to nature. And even the idea of the cryptic meditations that Willa has delivered to all of you will aid and assist you in getting in touch with the elemental level and maybe even the etheric, because again, physicalized spirits of the lower astral are also part and parcel of the cryptic and nocturnal journeys. Then you can go into parallel realities at another time. But first, gain some insight and gain some familiarity with the etheric shell and the archetypal shell and the collective shell, along with the elemental and the physical. And you will feel more things happening synchronistically that contain and include experiences within those shells, so that you broaden and enrich your experience of physical reality beyond the physical shell, but only into those shells that include the ability to connect to physical reality in a way that serves you best in life, on your path, on your journey of being more of who you truly are. We thank you for allowing us to share this idea with you today. And in return for the gift you have given us of interacting with each and every one of you, we ask now, with your questions and dialogue, how may we be of service to you? Then at this time, we will proceed with the idea of your meditation. Allow yourselves to become very relaxed. Let go of the cares of the day. Let it all flow away, and let your light flow into you and expand throughout you. And allow yourself to open your minds and imaginations to the idea of the different shells of Earth. Again, these are simply different vibrational states that represent different levels of consciousness that are connected to your planet, to your people, to nature, in a variety of ways. So let yourself simply be familiar with the idea, first and foremost, of course, of the physical shell, in a calm, relaxed, natural way. The beauty of it, the nurturing of it, of nature itself, the warmth of it, the coolness of it, all the things that to you represent the most positive qualities of physical reality. When you allow yourself to feel that vibration expanding within you, then let your imagination take it a little bit farther up the vibrational scale in frequency and pierce into the idea of the elemental shell, where there is a free-flowing consciousness that can allow itself to crystallize here and there in different shapes, different presentations and representations, to interact with each and every one of you in ways that will stimulate your consciousness, allow you to see things differently than you ever have before, may send you down new paths of experience and understanding. Allow yourself to know that those elementals are always there. You may not always see them, but you may feel them, until such time as you allow yourself to equalize your vibration with the elemental shell, so that they can become quasi-visible, which will act for them as more of an invitation to become more solid and more visible to you. So allow yourself to think of them as being just right on the edge of physical reality as you know it. Doesn't take much of a vibrational shift to experience them. Then allow yourself to open up to the etheric shell, in which you can have communications and conversations with spirits, with beings that may once, in your terms, linearly have been alive on your planet and are no longer, your spirit guides, friends and family that have passed on, who may be able now and then, when appropriate, to take on a physical form representation to interact with you more solidly, in that lower astral realm that vibrationally is very strongly connected to physical reality. Allow yourself to allow your mind to go into, your imagination to go into that etheric realm where the spirits can make themselves known to you, and you can have the communications that will let you know that nothing has been lost, that the relationships still exist, that you can learn and play together on and on eternally, no matter what state of being anyone may be in. And then allow your imaginations to broaden and allow your vibrations to rise into the archetypal shell that allow you to commune with the gods and goddesses, with the symbolic forms of shamans, with lightning and thunder, and even with the beginnings of the Kachina beings, the spirit beings that exist between dimensions, for they can partake of the archetypal shell to present themselves in ways that make sense to the symbols of your physical mind, so that you can learn to have a different style of communication in symbolic form, and open up your telepathy and telepathy with them to really let in the idea of the symbols that represent your path in life, so that you can learn a language that is more simplified, more telepathic, so you can move forward and expand your vibration in a very different way, and learn more about the path that you are above and beyond the physical reality, and how different groupings on your planets with different agendas and different goals can sometimes be a way that archetypal consciousness has of presenting itself by bringing together people of like mind for different purposes that are their passion, and in those groupings to represent an archetypal ideal, an archetypal path, an archetypal energy that can guide you by being familiar with your particular ideas, your particular passions, and you gather together and attract to you magnetically all the beings of like mind, and thus contain within that grouping a powerful archetypal presentation of a higher energy that will allow you to move forward in an effortless, efficient way. And then continue to expand your consciousness to incorporate all of the ascended masters and teachers that have brought through the collective consciousness to let you all know you are equally powerful, that your vibration can raise to a high point of fourth density reality where you have strong connections to all that is in a variety of ways that are relevant and germane for your physical path, to be teachers yourselves and learners yourselves on your path, as your path, to share with others that which you know will serve them, which will allow them to illuminate their own inner spark and broaden it and shine it forth. Whether they take it or not is not the issue, for it's none of your business whether they do. But to be of service to the collective whole, in love and light, in peace and harmony, in beauty and grace for all concerned, so that all may tap into that collective and be who they truly are, be the piece of the big puzzle picture that they were made to be the shape that is true for them, so that all may fit together in harmony with every other piece and form the big picture that supports all the pieces, even as the pieces support the big picture. Allow yourselves to let your vibrations rise according to what is needed at any given moment, dynamically shifting back and forth from shell to shell, or incorporating all the shells depending upon what it is you are doing and who it is you are being, and what aspects of yourself you are bringing to the forefront of your experience as a physical persona. Let it harmonize and blend with all the other aspects of your personality in whatever ways, again, serve you and everyone best. Let it all fall into place automatically through the beauty and the archetype of synchronicity, which permeates all of the vibrational energy of your reality. And it is one of the main structures of your reality itself. For everything is an orchestration. Everything is synchronicity. It just depends on how you're looking at it. That reveals what you need to see out of the holographic whole that synchronicity is. For synchronicity is physical reality's way of letting you know that everything is connected, and that distance and separation are illusions. Use them to your benefit, but do not let them rule the structure of your consciousness in a way that prevents you from tapping into whatever you need at any given moment. For physical reality is a projection of your consciousness. In a sense, is an illusion that you can use to your benefit if you understand the power of the illusion instead of falling under the illusion of power. Let yourself drift and dream in this understanding and feel your vibrations shifting and rising and focusing on whatever shell is germane for you, is important for you, is relevant for you at any given moment, and interact with the forms of consciousness therein. They are there to serve you. You are there to serve them. Let yourself drift and dream and become more lucid in the concept of the physical dream, so that you become more lucid in all the different shells that allow you to dream the dream awake and aware as you move through life. The life that is you, the unique you, the aspect of you that is the reflection of all that is in this unique way. Breathe it in and make it your own. Our unconditional love to you all, our deep appreciation and gratitude to you all. Allow yourself and the shells within you to blend and harmonize as they need to, so that you may be more of who you truly are and shine forth as a living example to others, that they can also choose that path as well in their own unique way. Be here, be now, be at peace, and welcome home. We bid you good day.
Hello, Tadeo.
Nania.
We have so many great questions from our viewers.
All right.
Okay, and the first one has to do with the handout. What happens if we do a misstep on one of these steps? Like if we look into a conspiracy theory or get into some religious spiritual argument with someone. If we notice it, learn from how it feels and adjust, are we back on track, so to speak? Is there anything more we need to do if that happens?
No. If you learn from it, then if you go back into the instruction in the way it was delivered, then you are back on track. So learn a lesson, learn why you may have desire to engage in that way, and then get back into the vibrational state as encouraged by the step. And realize that it's not necessary to venture that way again. Unless you do, then again, learn from it, learn why you chose to go in that direction. This can be used, like a lot of other things, to determine what your belief systems are and why you choose to do what you do. So if you use it that way, then you are learning, you are growing. But again, the idea is to realize that there is no need to do it, and that following the instruction more precisely will be to your advantage in creating the vibrational frequency that will bring you into alignment with contact and the interstellar alliance, if that is what you prefer.
Okay. And in step one, you said not to engage in discussions about conspiracy theories in general. Given that the UFO cover-up has been considered as conspiracy theory, but is an actual conspiracy, would engaging in conversation about it be considered going against the rule of step one?
No, because it is beyond theory at this point. There are too many witnesses, too many sources, too many verifications from many different people And therefore, it is out of the category of theory. So you can research, you can discuss. It has been suppressed and covered up. At this point, it is relatively obvious that there is enough research, enough validation from so many different sources of different types that you can consider it to be something that is real.
And does watching videos or stories about true or not true conspiracy theories and stories go against the interstellar experiment? What I mean is, I enjoy watching these forms of entertainment without being emotionally affected.
If it is research, if you can remain neutral in observing all of the input from those particular presentations, then it is research. But the idea is to allow yourself to pay attention to whether you are becoming caught up in it once again, if you ever were, and to remain neutral in the observation of those things so that you don't necessarily develop a strong opinion in one direction or another about what is true about them or not. If it is too challenging for you to not form an opinion, to not have strong perspectives on what it is you are watching, what it is you are absorbing, then again, it would be best for now to back off and remain neutral and maybe not absorb as much of the information. But if you can remain completely neutral, completely objective, and allow it all to simply be information for the purpose of research, then it is fine. But you have to pay attention honestly as to whether that's what you're doing or not.
Okay, and because you will be discussing in step 3 writing letters to specific individual officials around the globe regarding disclosure of UFO contact, and in doing so providing specific wording for us to use, I would appreciate if you could also give us instructions for non-native speakers of English. Is it okay to translate the wording you provided into our own native language and use it in whatever ways you may suggest? And is it okay to share what I have translated with the people of my own country who would also like to join the social experiment, so they can also send letters to specific individuals?
Yes, that is fine. However, one suggestion we would have would be, don't necessarily rely on your own translation unless you are a professional interpreter, a professional translator who is absolutely certain that your translation is accurate in terms of the intention and meaning behind the words that are delivered in English. So you can translate it into different languages, but for those who are not proficient at the translation, then we would suggest that you find someone who is and ask them if the translation, or ask them to translate it in a way that captures fully the exact meaning of the original language. So if you can do that, and you can know that it is accurately representative, then that is fine.
And also, one question that came up, some individuals may feel anxiety about being perceived as some sort of target or part of some conspiracy or something in their land. And what are some suggestions for dealing with anxiety about, in a sense, sticking out or making yourself, I guess you'd say, a target or something like that?
Well, this simply goes back to some of the original ideas we have discussed for many years. You have to examine your belief system and find out why you are perceiving this in a fear-based or negative way. If the idea is too challenging for you, then as we have said, it's up to you to decide not to be a part of the social experiment. As the word implies, it is a social experiment, which means it requires interaction with society. So if you find that too challenging and are unable to let go of any fear-based or negative beliefs you have surrounding your participation in this social experiment, then don't participate. Otherwise, get in touch with your belief systems as to why you believe that it would be a negative thing to move forward in this way, and learn to let them go. Learn to let those beliefs go. Learn to transform them into something more positive so that you can be coming from your self-empowerment, your indestructible core. But again, as always, it is up to you to decide whether this is something that you are capable of participating in or not.
And also the idea of, I guess, thousands of letters going out all over the planet. What do you anticipate would be the reaction from administrative levels of our planet to that kind of thing, onslaught happening?
One particular reaction would be that they understand that there is organization to these thoughts, that there is unification to these thoughts, that there is similarity beyond borders, beyond cultures. This is something that can awaken them to realize that this is an important issue to look at, an important issue to address. Beyond that, there is no insistence or expectation, but we know that that recognition will occur in many individuals when they see a massive amount of individuals, regardless of country, regardless of background, regardless of other belief systems, unified in the idea of requesting the release of this information.
Okay. And when you talk about the hybridization agenda by the Greys, it sounds like humanity agreed to it in some higher level, that the Earth becoming the sixth hybrid race is a part of that agenda, and this has already been decided. If humanity on a conscious level became aware of this as a fact, it would have been looked at as a silent, covert invasion and not something positive or beneficial. I suppose this is why it is being carried out in secret from the majority of the population. How would you explain this conundrum? Is the slow drip disclosure a part of making the general population accustomed to the idea? Would not carrying out this agenda result in humanity going the path of the negative timeline the Greys experienced?
No.
And without white lies, how would you explain it if you had an opportunity to have a transmission that the entire Earth could hear?
Again, the idea is that understanding your connection to your galactic family, awakening to your true potential, awakening to the agreements that you have made for the evolution of humanity, would do exactly the opposite of allowing you to go down the negative path that the Greys took. It would allow you more opportunity to choose the path that you prefer in a positive way. The idea of secrecy is, as you say, euphemistically, a kind of drip system that allows humanity to get used to the idea, but it is also what gives humanity the time to awaken and remember that they made this agreement, so that it doesn't feel forced, so that it doesn't feel like an invasion, as you say, so that you can take responsibility for the part you are playing in having made an agreement from a higher level to aid and assist in the evolution of humanity in this format, in this way. And it is the acceptance of this responsibility and the awakening to the memory of the choice that you made as a collective that would allow you to be able to choose a more positive path and not go down the path that the Greys took in their reality.
And so the idea of this being a timeline for humanity, it's just one timeline. So of course there will be those individuals who would not want to participate in this direction for humanity.
Yes, and they will have their own reality. They will move on and proceed as if this didn't happen. There are many versions of Earth and many different scenarios that you can navigate to that will fit what you prefer based on the belief system you hold to be true.
So someone who's highly focused on the earth and ecological issues and wanting the planet to become more and more beautiful and not with conflict, a peaceful, wonderful place, heaven on earth, so to speak. They can have that experience without becoming part of the hybridization timeline. Is that
Yes,
correct?
yes, of course. Again, there is a kind of mass consensus in large part with humanity to have agreed to the idea of aligning with open contact and aligning with the idea of the hybridization program, aligning with the vibration of the interstellar alliance. Obviously, what we are suggesting in these steps are the steps that are necessary to align with that particular Earth reality for those who have chosen it. But yes, of course, there is always the availability of other versions of parallel realities, parallel versions of Earth, that don't necessarily include what it is that we are suggesting in these steps. And that is why we tell you it's up to you to decide to participate or not, so that you can feel it out for yourselves as to what kind of reality you have chosen to prefer, you have chosen to be a part of, what group you have chosen to navigate to different Earths with. However, the vast majority of individuals who are exploring the idea of the expansion of consciousness on your planet at this time, again, not that all of them have to have chosen this, but the vast majority, as we perceive it, of those who are exploring the expansion of consciousness have agreed to participate in this particular form of humanity's evolution. And those are the ones we are speaking to. And only those. All right, I'll say good day. We now deliver the Interstellar Alliance Social Experiment Step 3, where we introduce a specific action in the form of a communication to the officials on your planet having to do with the idea of the revelation of information connected to what you term UFOs, UAPs, and extraterrestrial activities, information and knowledge. We have crafted a specific letter for you to send out. We have transmitted this through the channel with very specific wording. The wording of this letter should be given out verbatim, so it is up to you to copy it intact, adding nothing, subtracting nothing. It will serve a very specific purpose of timing for things that are to come up in your near future and build a momentum of energy that can lead toward the acceleration of the probability of open contact on your planet. But again, it is up to you to decide to participate in sending this letter out in the way that it is instructed to do so. But again, the degree to which you are willing to participate in this will determine the vibrational state that is conducive to the idea of open contact and being in alignment with the Interstellar Alliance. Again, completely in your hands as to what degree you participate in this. But there are specific reasons for the timing of this as instructed in the letter, and the way in which it is presented, how it is worded. There are things that it will connect to. There are chords, in a sense, that it will strike within different people in very specific ways. We have, to some degree, in a limited fashion, done a similar experiment with you before as a kind of beta test to see how many people would participate. And this leads us to the creation of this version of it now that we are actually in the Interstellar Alliance social experiment. And this takes the form of step 3 to increase your activity, your physical activity, your engagement, your involvement in your world, specifically along these lines, specifically in this vibration, in this energy, to again gauge the degree of willingness that you have to present yourself in a certain way, to establish yourself within a certain frequency, within a certain vibration, and to state clearly from your particular perspective as an individual member of the Interstellar Alliance the things that are relevant and important for activities in the world, for directions to be taken, for actions to be taken on your part and the part of others that will allow more probability to bring about the idea of open contact and to accelerate the timing of such. And so to this purpose, in the delivering of step 3, Nania, I will ask you to read the Interstellar Social Experiment Step 3 out loud to share with all, and allow them to know that a download of this will be available for them to use in the way that it is instructed within what you are about to read. So please proceed.
Interstellar Alliance Social Experiment, Step 3. Send the following letter by email or regular mail to every government representative in Congress, Senate and House, and all party members, as well as to the presidents, premiers, scientific, military, and political leaders of every country on Earth every 3 months until they take action as requested. And the letter should say, Dear, and you name the person, despite military, scientific, and political statements to the contrary, we believe that UFOs or UAPs do not represent a threat of any kind to national or global security or humanity at large. There is overwhelming and well-researched evidence and thousands of eyewitness accounts that these objects have been present throughout Earth's history without detrimental effect on the day-to-day affairs of humanity. Without supporting or promoting any related conspiracy theories, we believe that certain organizations are withholding knowledge of this phenomenon out of an irrational fear and for self-serving reasons. It's time for the secrets to end and a program of transparent public education to begin in service to humanity. Therefore, we respectfully but strongly request that you, in your official capacity, immediately and publicly disclose and release, within 1 year from your receipt of this letter, any and all information in your possession, or that you are aware of being in another person's possession, regarding UFOs, UAPs, and any and all indications of extraterrestrial life, activities, and technologies, and that you publicly state your support for the complete release of all such information without limitation, editing, redaction, ridicule, or falsification. Please be aware the members of this social movement intend to vote for and elect only those leaders and representatives who publicly and actively support and promote such disclosure, and with our votes, replace all officials who do not. Thank you. And this is from the Interstellar Alliance Social Experiment Group.
Thank you, Nania. When this download is made available to you, again, you may copy it, send it out as requested every 3 months, and when enough people do this, and the officials continue to receive these letters over and over and over again, and you allow yourself to do your research with regard to who is willing to support this idea publicly, and to ensure and assure that your votes will change those representatives should they not follow the requests involved in this transmission, then we will see how on your planet the idea of public opinion, the idea of public preference, the idea of the ability of the public to, as you say, move the needle on a subject in a direction that you prefer, will take effect to whatever degree you participate, to whatever degree you understand that you are your governments, to whatever degree that you will stand up and declare for yourself the ideas that are connected to the larger galactic family to which you belong, and your passion at experiencing the vibration of contact, the vibration of the Interstellar Alliance, and the changes that you may make in shifting to versions of Earth that are more and more and more representative with each transmission you send out, to act as a navigational tool to move you in the direction of the version of Earth that will be more and more and more representative of open contact, so that you may experience an acceleration toward that end. So it is of critical importance for those willing to participate that you allow yourself to send it out. We understand again that some of these challenges may require action on your part. You may need to rearrange some schedules in order to send them out to all of the individuals that are suggested within the letter. But again, the degree to which you are willing to participate, the degree of fullness to which you participate will make a difference, and the degree to which a lot of those individuals will receive these transmissions will also let them know what the general population prefers and what the general population will support or not support in moving forward toward the end of open contact. So, every 3 months is sufficient, considering the volume of the letters that will be sent out again and again, the same letters over and over. You will eventually see an effect. And we will be watching, we will be gauging, we will be observing, again, as a barometer, to what degree the needle is moving toward open contact and away from fear and secrecy. So we thank you for your participation ahead of time. And in return for your willingness to participate in this social experiment and your willingness to take action on step 1, step 2, and step 3, for remember, you do not stop doing the original steps. You keep doing everything as best you can, and you add to it with every step that we deliver to you. So, in return for this, I ask you now, in what way may we continue to be of service to you? Please begin with your questions and your dialogue if you wish.
Hello, Bashar. Good day to you. I remember you stating in a previous transmission that once a person makes a change, it is a complete change, and that change includes the person's past, present, and future, and also that you never were that person. My question is, why is it that ourselves and those who are close to us remember the past of the former version, especially if it is something that may not be preferred? Thank you for your time.
Because it is still something you're creating in the present that is relevant. That's why. You create the history over and over and over in the present as long as elements of it remain relevant to the theme that you're choosing to explore. So even though you're not the same person and you don't have the same history, you are recreating something similar every moment as long as it remains relevant to your theme.
Hello, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
Thank you so much. I just had a couple of questions, and thank you for being willing to interact with me. I appreciate it.
It is our passion and our pleasure to do so.
I was wondering if my daughter and or I are hybrids, and you may or may not be willing to answer that question.
All humans are hybridized. There is no such thing as a human that is not. But you are not hybrids in the sense of the ones that live on spaceships. You are not hybrids in the sense of the ones that are created through the hybridization program. But many humans have had genetic alterations by having encounters in different layers of reality that hybridize you further. But the idea is that you are not the hybrids being created on the spaceships in the hybridization program, but you are part of the hybridization program that is going on Earth for the evolutional purpose of humanity.
Thank you. Do I have a specific gift or one that needs to be remembered or awakened in this lifetime?
Well, what are you passionate about doing?
I don't know. This seems to be a very...
All right. Remember that when we ask you what you're passionate about, it doesn't have to be a life-spanning career or a large-scale project. We assume right now that you are having this conversation with us because this was the most exciting choice you could make at this particular moment. Yes or no?
Yes.
Well, that's all you have to do. When this conversation is over, look at all the regular options available to you, the ordinary options, and just pick the one that has even just a little bit more attractiveness, more curiosity, more excitement, more passion in it than any other, even just by a little bit, and act on that first. Take it as far as you can till you can take it no further. When the excitement naturally wanes and you make sure you're not the one dampening the excitement, then you look for the next thing that contains more excitement than anything else and act on it next. And you just keep doing that. Then it will usually snowball into bigger and bigger opportunities to act on your excitement. And then you will be following the formula and being of service to humanity in that way. Does that make sense? Do you understand?
Yes. Thank you.
So it's not a big mystery. It's not difficult to do. Just do it a step at a time. Keep it simple. And it will build and bring you, through synchronicity, more opportunities to act on your excitement, possibly in bigger and bigger ways. Yes?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
That's how it works. So does that remove the mystery? Does that remove any confusion?
Yes.
All right. Is that something that you believe you can do?
Yes, sir.
Oh, sir. So formal.
Sorry, it's a habit.
All right, ma'am.
In this lifetime or in my dreams, I've interacted with several different types of beings, and I'm wondering why there are so many different forms. I feel like some people have just one that they focus in on, be they past souls or something like that. Am I meant to interact with a particular type, or am I just...
You all have many different guides and many different connections. Sometimes one will be predominant, but at other times others will take turns based on the reason why they're connecting to you, the reason why they're helping you, whatever your connection may be with them, and of course based on their skill set as well, because different guides have different skills, different reasons for assisting you. So it just depends on what's going on at any given moment in your life as to who you may attract to be of assistance to you, be it an extraterrestrial being, an extra-dimensional being, a spirit guide, a member of your soul family, a parallel reality version of yourself that is aware of how to connect with you in this way. It can shift and change dynamically all the time. Some people will maintain a connection to maybe one specific version of a guide, but that doesn't mean it's always the case.
Mhm. Thank you. And one of those was, maybe it sounds odd, maybe it doesn't, was a mechanical spider. It sounds very strange, but it was above my face while I was sleeping, and I awoke feeling it right above my face at two
Yeah.
different points in my life. And it was one entity thing that actually created a lot of fear in me because I was not expecting it to be there. And I didn't know if it felt real in the moment. But I
Yes.
realized you said that when we're sleeping, we're awake, and we're awake, we're sleeping, essentially. So I'm just wondering if you know the purpose of why it presented itself to me.
Well, it is a projection of consciousness that took the form that you say gave you an opportunity to experience fear within you. So it allowed you to practice transforming that fear.
Got it.
It gave you an opportunity to do so.
Because I find that now I don't have fear when I come across any of the different entities when I'm sleeping or astral projecting or whatever it is.
All right, well, there you go.
Curiosity.
Yes, well, it gave you an opportunity through a representation of what you would have a fear reaction for to exercise your ability to transform that fear and let it go.
Okay, well, that's simple enough. And those are all the questions that I had.
All right, well, we thank you for the co-creation of this interaction this day of your time. Our unconditional love to you. Aveo.
Thank you. Aveo.